Officially recording. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Jessica Corbo, and I have the great pleasure of co-hosting an event with my dear friend Irene. We are going to have a 4-part series, and it's focused on self-compassion. Self-compassion is vital for mental health, and the entire month is focusing on mental health awareness, whether it's proactive or reactive. Within our 4-part series, today we're going to be talking about presence. What is it? How do we do it? How do we get into that stage? How do we flow with it? What does flow mean? We got a lot of gifts for you guys today. And we have a lot of exercises too, so that we can evaluate our level of consciousness and kind of where we are. Me being corporate and then also an Ironman, I learned about presence through a process of physical activity. And Irene, she's just magical on so many different levels. She's grown up with a whole bunch of presence. So from basically being a baby all the way up through all of her life, she's a very talented corporate coach. She consistently hosts and facilitates workshops and also holds space for situations like this so that people can, number 1, be vulnerable, 2, grow, and then 3, develop different skills and practices to empower themselves. So with that said, I would like to warmly welcome Irene. Thank you so much for having the time and also agreeing to do something pretty magical for everyone.
Yes, nice to be in this space with you all. And yeah, I really appreciate that, you take time on your Saturday to be here with us, exploring self-compassion. And I had to say something, Jessica. You mentioned presence is something that I have like from baby. That's actually not the full story, but it's something that that I learned actually as a young adult that I cultivate as well. And the trigger, the catalyst was actually a really big mental health struggle. So I had depression years ago, and then that's when I started to explore kind of being kind to myself. That's kind of the key of self-compassion. And one foundational practice is presence. That's what we are going to explore today. And it is really wonderful to share this space with you all. So I'm actually I prepared some slides also kind of to guide us a bit, like with some structure. But this is let's start from the top. So just to give you an idea what we are going to do today. So Jessica and myself, we are holding space and offering a practice, but this is also all of us. All of us are holding space for each other in this meeting, in this session. And we're actually going to self-reflect on the theme of presence. I will guide you with some tickling questions that touch like different parts of ourselves, not only the mind but also the body and the emotion. And if you're up for it, I have an embodiment exercise that we can explore together, and you'll have a chance to share as well in the breakout rooms with your peers here. And then we wrap up. So we expect to round this up like in 1 hour, but we'll see. Maybe there needs to be more time. So as Jessica mentioned, this is really safe space. We are here to listen, to share, and to learn with each other. And when we are sharing also, I really encourage you to speak the I language. So things from your perspective, like owning your experience. And again, there's no judgment. It's a safe space. And also, especially like in the breakout rooms, like you will, perhaps you can share more deeper things with your peers. So please take care that you respect the confidentiality of what's being shared. And a little heads up, we will have exercise involving movement. So you can take into account like, okay, what's your surrounding? Oh, I see that when you are already standing. We are not there yet, but feel free to just feel in your body if you feel like you need to stand or you need to just lie down or sit in the couch. So that's all good. Just feel at ease and feel at home in yourself. Okay, there it goes. Our first, actually, our kind of this is an open invitation to reflect already. What does presence mean to you? And perhaps like you can even remember, okay, maybe the moment like perhaps Jess or myself, like we invited you to this session here, like, oh, what does present mean to you? So I give you some example there, and this is from my own experience. Yeah, so for me it is a lot about stopping from running away from escapism behavior. I mean, I used to be like like always keeping myself busy, and I felt like I always have to be productive. Like busy means productive, which I learned the hard way that it's not the case. And it can also, not just being busy with work, but also with the social life. Like I really had like kind of like kind of a very tight social life. Kind of, okay, I have to go to this party there and that party there, and then like but I felt like really kind of spread too thin, and then like my presence in the moment was kind of very diminishing actually. So this is what I can reflect about presence, and I'm actually curious, like also like what does it mean to you?
I would like to add on to that. I think for me, presence is when I'm present, I'm in a state of joy.
Mm.
I'm not in a state of joy, I know that I'm not present. So for me, oversimplify and take a step back. If you're walking down the street and you are smelling the air, you are listening to the birds, you can hear almost the clouds dancing. I know in normal context, you can't hear clouds dancing, but when you're present, you can. And so all of this is a sign of presence. It's being 100% in body. When you're walking down the same street and you're not present, then you can't really feel your feet touching the ground. You're thinking about, okay, what cars are coming past? Okay, what dogs are they going to be friendly? You're in a kind of it's not really neurosis, but you're kind of in a state of analyzing and maybe being situationally aware. Being a survivor of domestic violence, that is my default, is having a very, very high level of situational awareness. So for me, I run on the side of anxiety. So for me to be present, it takes me a very conscious effort, because I'm always thinking about what's safe, what's going to hurt me, how do I keep myself in the best possible position. So presence is that state of joy and being able to listen to the clouds dance.
Yeah, that's a very kind of your description of the cloud dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hear also a lot it means also kind of, if we are able to be present, that means like we are also feeling safe
Yeah.
in this moment, in the here and now.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Because I think it also kind of goes into, depending on what your level of awareness is, if you believe that everything is happening for a reason, or, if you feel that the universe is actually always on your side and conspiring to create magic for you, then once you're in body, you always know that no matter what, you're always protected. Some people translate that into faith. So if you believe in God or any kind of deities, they exist in order to keep us safe. So you can kind of put it in that context too.
Yeah. Yes. That's very powerful what you share, Jess.
Can
I'm
I also share?
Of course. Please,
Yeah.
Engin. Yeah.
I just thought about what is presence, and I thought that it is when I am not planning the future and when I am not thinking about my past. So now thinking about it, I came with a simple definition.
Wow.
Which is difficult actually, doing both of them at the same time. it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Yes.
To share too.
I agree. Those things are magnetic almost. The future and the past, it's so difficult to stay just today.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So already, yeah,
Absolutely.
kind of it's like the realm of the mind, about the future, the past. Yeah, because Jess and myself, we just discussed about it before we started. When
Absolutely.
you also like to share something?
Yeah, I saw what you write on the presentation, and I can feel you. I feel that as the person present, it means that when I start to feel, it's kind of echo what Jessica said. When I start to feel that my soul is in my body, and I stop, try to shut down
Yeah,
everything to try to let myself feel numb,
yeah.
then it means that I'm the present. Yeah,
Mm,
but it could be painful or it could be happy or scenario. So
mm.
that's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing when you. Yeah, it is. You mentioned also the word numb. Yeah, I think that is also like a presence, like when we are really attuning to the present, it can be also all sort of things, and
Mhm.
joy can be a big thing, but it can also be like a painful reality that there's something going on, and that's also uh, perhaps more demanding even, but
Mhm.
that's also an opportunity to practice presence.
I would like to also honor, just to kind of hold space for this moment, I would like to honor the fact that presence is not a destination, but it's a journey. And each one of you guys have honored the fact that it's almost like a tug of war going between past and present, or staying in the future, or having to constantly evaluate. And so I would like to just remind you that it's not, once you achieve presence, that is, like the end destination, but this is, every moment is an opportunity to get back into the present moment. And this is something that can go up and down, and that's normal. So I just want to normalize, because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my goodness, I'm failing, because there's no such thing.
Yes.
So this is normal. You guys are all
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes, thank you, Jess. It is like always a journey, and it's a
Yeah.
practice. That's what we call it here. And as it goes with any practice, practice we can fail, but we try again. And yeah, that's also the invitation in this space. Okay. Yeah, and actually, like a continuation of this reflection, because you already kind of open up also, like, oh yeah, what does it mean really? And already like yeah, in a very personal way, like you bring up, okay, what is your process of presence? And I would like to also offer, this is yeah, kind of a deepening questions. And I always like to approach things like from the different parts, like the mind, the body, the emotion. And actually, yeah, we our first stop is the mind, and it is what you already reflected, like presence, like how yeah, especially in the realm of the mind, you know um I posed this simple question actually: how much of me is present in the here and now? Like because we can be physically here present, but perhaps our mind is like, oh, going to the future, going to the past. And so we can also acknowledge that, like what are the thoughts that occupy our mind right now? Perhaps it is like, it feels like very important, and without any judgment, just see like, okay, like, are they mainly in the past, or are they in the future? And yeah, again, no judgment. It is kind of the nature of our mind, actually. Yeah, kind of I have a I come like from the Zen Buddhism background, so like we have this saying, like the mind is like the wild monkey.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's always like jumping from one branch to another. And um so kind of to gain presence, it doesn't mean that, oh, you have to empty your mind from everything, but really kind of to be able to observe and train the monkey.
To be a silent observer is fantastic. I love the monkey mind,
Mm,
I mean, there's so many videos on that, which I think are great. Maybe we can share that at some point with everyone that's on the workshop today. For
mm,
me, I view the mind as going to a movie theater. So as you step back and you stay in body and you're observing your mind, for me, it's, I could have I'm not normal. Again, coming from domestic violence and gun violence, I tend to think 10 to 15 steps ahead. So it's always plan for the worst and hope for the best is like my default. So by doing that, it takes me a lot to step back and to say, oh my goodness, these are irrational or these are rational thoughts. And as I'm watching it, it's a movie. And so it's just like, oh, that was interesting. Oh, nope, that's not going to happen. An example would be watching the movie Jaws. If you watch Jaws and you get scared with sharks, if you go into a lake, you can't see what's underneath. That's an irrational fear that's based on what I dub as reality, because I'm scared of the mind mapping, sharks equal water, I'm in water, and I'm going to get gobbled up by a shark.
Okay. Yeah.
And so being able to observe those thoughts that are occupying that mind is incredibly powerful, to have that discernment of, is this thought serving me? Is this thought what's actually happening? Is this thought pulling me out of my present moment? Because you can easily jump down rabbit holes too if you're not careful.
Yeah, yeah. And is it real? Is it kind of realistic? Or is it like more something we conjure up from?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So curious if there are, if there are more sharing, like if you have something of the mind that you want to share right now. So, perhaps like, okay, it is like I have like a very simple tool, like for now, like, if you do notice, like there's so much thoughts like going back and forth, like, oh, maybe even your to-do list for later, like just grab a piece of paper and flush it out. We are honoring also the, that, okay, like these thoughts are here present, like we consider them, we perceive them as okay, important, and we can come back to it at a later moment. Yeah, so if you feel the need to do that, just grab a piece of paper and then just scribble down in keywords, like, okay, whatever it is going on in your mind. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking about what Jessica said, and it kind of drew me back to the past, and I was a bit thinking about things in the past. So I was, what happened now? But yeah, I like what Jessica just said. Yeah, that's why what I want to say.
I think it's also, to add on to that, it's also very important to understand our internal world in context of our external world. So as we're having this workshop and as we're, sharing different components of how, like, number one, what do we define as presence? Number two, what are things that either keep us in presence or have the ability to pull us out of presence? I think that in itself is a very powerful moment to acknowledge and just say, oh, I'm influenced by someone else. It's not triggered, but I'm inspired by something, and it's extracting me from this exact moment, because it's not good or bad. It's a beautiful moment to acknowledge the journey and the flow of presence. So, I would love to commend you for being able to understand that exact moment. Ooh, something that Jess said brought me into my past. I had that evaluation period, and now I'm back into the present moment. Snaps. That was fantastic resilience.
Yes.
Getting back into the moment. So that's awesome.
That is actually the practice, kind of being aware. Oh, I went to the past and now I'm here again. So that's the practice. We have our ticket when okay, this is my ticket to this journey of presence.
Absolutely.
I
don't know if this is also useful, but for me, since I have more of the analytical mind, because my background is more in the situational awareness, my default is to evaluate, is this safe, is this not safe? For other people that more on the feeling side, maybe it's not analyzing, is this real, is this not real, is this safe, is this not safe? Maybe part of the presence to evaluate how much of you is present is, how is my body feeling? How are my emotions feeling? What emotions are cropping up? How did I feel about coming out of that exact moment? And so these are different ways. Again, we're just sharing kind of our personal experiences and hopefully planting seeds, because the end goal is just for self-mastery and to kind of learn some self-compassion, because everyone's self-compassion practice will be different.
Yeah, yes. And really wonderful that you already mentioned about the different ways, like because some of us have more affinity with the mind, with our mental cognitive space, but some may find this entrance for awareness in the body or in the emotional world. And this is what I'm offering next, kind of to also check, like, okay, if you're already in touch with your body, some of these questions perhaps could resonate with you. Kind of, how aware am I of, for instance, my breathing? Now that's kind of like the breathing is happening in the body, and that's actually it can be also our anchor. Kind of, if the mind is floating around like this wild monkey, and how to bring it back. We could always anchor it like to somewhere in our body, but the breathing is kind of it's our dear friend that's always there as long as we live, so we can always use it.
It's an unconscious muscle that's always helping us and protecting us and keeping us safe and helping us function. And teaching group fitness, one of my favorite things is always reminding people to breathe in the nose and out the mouth. So Irene, maybe you can also support or share your experience, but any meditative practice comes back to the breath as the baseline. And once you develop that skill at different levels, you can actually slow down your entire internal world to a point where, remember when I referenced being able to hear the clouds dancing? You can slow it down to that point. And from a physical world perspective, that might be a little bit more tangible to understand or to conceptualize, is you can feel the temperature difference. So with that inhale, you feel one temperature for that air that's going all the way through the nostrils, dancing with all your nose hairs. There's no judgment. I have them too. Going all the way through the nose, through the cavities, all the way down into the body, expanding the lungs, coming out through the lungs, coming back up through all the cavities, through the throat, and then out through the mouth. Once you can feel that temperature change, magic, like next level.
Yes. That's a kind of very subtle sensation, also like temperature difference.
Absolutely.
And I remember from my practice with the Vipassana meditation, that's also kind of like, the focus, like really about the sensation, the subtle sensation. But if you're just starting with this, it's also completely fine to feel like the gross sensation, like with every breath you take, like your body is also expanding, because it is like there's a lot going on, like it's unconscious muscle, like, but it's also kind of expanding our rib cage, and then the lungs also get expanded, and breathing out, like this sense of like, okay, shrinking, before we grow again. And this is something that you can always do anytime, anywhere, because you're always breathing. We are always breathing. And and that's kind of like the foundation. But then, like, you can also extend it, like, all right, like awareness of the body, for instance. And you can start this like with something very very small, like, okay, like perhaps the feet, or just like awareness of the hands, body parts that like perhaps giving you pain, that, okay, like, can I be also present for that part that is in pain, because like the pain also is saying something.
Absolutely. Irene, have you ever noticed on how, depending on your emotional states or depending on what is happening, sometimes the depth of the breath is different?
Definitely, yes.
So I think this is something worth also kind of exploring. Is it's not just the active inhale, exhale, or whether it's in the nose, out the mouth, or semantics. But I think it's also, if you take into consideration the depth of breath. So a lot of times if we're kind of nervous or anxious or, I don't know, out of body. Yeah, if we're out of body, it's not very deep. It's like, it's a little bit labored. And if we slow it down and we're just like, the secret to my sauce is 5 deep breaths. And when you get into 5 deep breaths, then depending on how out of body I am, I experience tingles that start in my head and then it goes throughout my entire body. That's on how I know I'm really out of body and not present. Because when I get the tingles, that's my body saying, thank you for finally giving us oxygen.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's really going on the cellular level as well. You know, the kind of the breath is really kind of the foundation of all movement actually. And it is what did I want to say? Yeah, what you're saying, Jess, that's also something about like the stress response. Yeah, kind of, and that's very natural happening that the if we feel like all those like anxious or worried and or just stress or feeling threatened, then it is just kind of our biological response that our breath gets shorter, shallower. And you know, we cannot regulate our heartbeat or our, I don't know, our digestion or our bloodstream, but one thing that we can regulate is our breathing. And that's really handy tools what you share, Jess. Kind of like just like follow your breath, like being aware, like when you're breathing in and you're breathing out, and see if you can just follow it, and that usually also calms it down, like it makes it longer.
Absolutely. For I think segueing into posture, which is also on our list. So am I aware of my breathing in context of the body? Just kind of focus on maybe the depth of the breath. Going into posture, have you guys noticed, everyone right now, if you can, try to put your feet flat on the floor, stick that chest out and roll those shoulders back, and then just take a deep breath. And do you feel different? Because we're all sitting, I mean, it's nothing, super fancy. It's just, we have some people that are, sitting at desks or sitting, at tables. For me, my table is a little bit lower. I'm already short, which is fine, but I'm leaning forward. If you're leaning forward, you're closing those lungs, you're closing that heart. But when you kind of sit up straight and you throw those shoulders back, you stick out that chest, feet are flat on the floor, instinctively your body is like, ooh, okay, what are we doing? This is great. And then your breathing is a little bit more like a little bit more open. Are you guys experiencing that or no? Maybe I'm just a little crazy. I'm okay with that.
No, yes, thumbs up. Actually,
totally okay with that.
Yeah, that's something that we could explore, like, because the next thing is about the movement. I'm checking who's writing in the chat. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Nice. Thanks, Emilia. If you have the possibility now, like this is actually kind of the embodiment exercise that I thought, okay, we can go through it later, but I feel like no, because we're already working on some breathing awareness and some posture awareness, we might as well do it now.
Yeah, well, it's easier to breathe when we open up the space for our lungs to do the work.
Yes,
if we're hugging the lungs, we can't breathe as easily.
Yeah. So you are now, most of you are seated. I'm also seated, but if you have a chance, just try to stand up now. And I will see if this works with my cable and all. And kind of just, like bringing this awareness of the body, kind of, okay, like just first like awareness of the feet. Yeah, so whatever you do right now, you can also, like, I see some shoulders are dancing. Okay, and awareness of the feet, and you also feel like your feet, like they're in contact with your floor, with the ground, and you can feel that you want to massage the floor. Yeah, so how do you massage usually? Like, okay, you give a bit of like your weight to the floor, and see if the floor massage you back. And yeah, you're noticing as well, you know, as you're kind of moving, you're shifting your weight. Just be aware of, okay, how your body reorganizes itself with each weight shift. And you can slow it down a lot more. Yeah, so shifting your weight, press it's side by side for now.
This is also a really good way to understand your core strength too.
Yeah, yes. We are standing.
If you're shuffling back and forth, which, you know, to be perfectly honest, in context of World 2.0, a lot of people are struggling with their core strength, because if you look at just from a mechanical perspective, we've shifted from being able to walk around a lot. And when you walk around, if your core isn't strong, you're going to fall over. Like, that's just a fact. But now we don't walk around as much because things are virtual. So when you sit down, you can get very lazy. And when you're not engaging those muscles, which are natural when we're walking, but it's unnatural, you have to have consciousness to engage that core when you sit.
Exactly.
It's different. So, you know, make sure that when you guys are doing that, also kind of check in with your core and be like, ooh, I need to start walking around just a little bit more to, you know, make sure that I have a protective area for all those lungs and the different organs and stuff. So we're not hunched over.
Yes, that's really kind of the, you know, the whole postural thing, kind of the whole posture thing. And like, as you're shifting your weight, like you can imagine yourself even like you're you're like a tower made of Lego pieces. You know, like, so how is the kind of the different body parts, like, okay, the knees and the hips, and also the whole torso supported by the core strength, you know, the whole spine, and also the neck and the head, where is a kind of an easy posture that you can reorganize yourself standing and still like being connected with your breathing. And I would like to be playful with you, to challenge you a bit also, you know, like, because you see the next question, how do I relate with my physical surroundings? Yeah, so this can be like the space you're in right now. There's table, maybe there's desk, there's chair, there's the wall. So a very playful exercise, you know, you can use a very simple movement that we all know, walking. Yeah. If you are in the mood for dancing, that's also possible. Like, you know, just make your way around across the room, like, with more movement, you know, more flares, like, oh, I can also move my arms and so on. So kind of first exercise, like just go around your room, like, however you can walk, you can use more flair, but with awareness of your feet. Yeah, so the feet is leading your movement. So without looking at your feet, but you're aware, okay, my feet is here. Okay, where do they lead me in space?
And also, as the feet are leading you, pay attention, if you can, to which part of your foot is touching the ground first. Are your toes touching the ground first? Are your heels touching the ground first? Are you walking at a pace or moving at a pace where your entire foot is flat? Or are you kind of a little bit like bouncing around? Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just bringing awareness to how you move. For me, I like to go on my toes a lot when I'm walking. I'm a little bit more jumping around like a little bunny rabbit. Like, oh, where are we going next?
Yes. So no judgment, just observe, like, okay, and it is also, you know, like different rhythms. That's also fine. And all right, I see that you have perhaps made one round around your room. So do the opposite round, and this time with your hips leading the movement, and see what happens.
I love that.
Yeah, so there's perhaps like, a completely different attitude show up. Or perhaps this opens up. perhaps some new thoughts or some new feelings. Maybe like, this is not your normal way of walking, but kind of in the spirit of playing, just give it a moment and explore.
Being a fitness instructor,
Uh-huh.
when you tell me to focus on my hips, I'm thinking about the different muscles, and now all of a sudden my glutes, I'm like, oh, how are my glutes? How are my glutes like squeezing as I'm walking?
Yeah. So that's something, you can notice also. Yeah, the glutes, the butt muscle here.
Yeah, so it's the hip flexors and then the glutes as moving around on how the body of the mechanics of the body.
Yeah, yeah, and also kind of like the front part, like the the hips. Those are kind of a big structure that also contains our organs. Like it's a ball shaped. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Jess, right? But it is also kind of when you move with your hips leading, and that's kind of your whole center of weight also change. And see what happens like when the hips leading.
It's such a powerful exercise, just shifting from the feet to the hips. Very powerful.
There's more. It's only halfway. All right.
It's also a difficult one, actually. I don't know. I'm trying to feel my hips leading me, but I don't know if I can understand it or not.
Not a problem, Engin. Yeah, that's kind of the practice. Like and like if you feel if it helps, like you can really give the hips maybe one hip like a direction and just follow it. Kind of like make it a bit exaggerated, like hips there. Oh, okay. Then the whole body has to follow, and kind of be aware of how the whole body reorganizes itself so that you don't fall.
And I think also supporting what Irene's talking about. I think it's also interesting. On one level, we can focus on the mechanics. When we focus on our feet, what is the point of contact onto the floor? For our hips, what are our hips doing? If we simplify just a little bit and go into our inside world, if we have an awareness of, okay, what am I thinking about with my feet? Okay, what am I thinking about with my head? And how is this making me feel? That's next level for awareness on just recognizing that there is a shift. It doesn't matter what the shift is, but just the fact that there is a shift. Oh, okay. When even as simple as when I'm walking with my feet, I'm worried about contact. When I'm thinking about my hips, now I'm confused. This is a shift because it goes from clarity into a little bit of cloudiness, which is a powerful moment of awareness as well, which I think is super powerful for everybody.
Yeah, that's usually like when we explore new territory, like where like where we actually have that possibility to grow into that kind of to connect it with something in our life, and we might feel confusion. That's normal because it's new, perhaps. But that's also the area that invites us actually to explore and to grow more. Like, oh, okay, what am I going to discover?
Absolutely.
Okay, one more. Okay, you can choose like a random path around your room. This time with your chest leading. Yeah, so just like showed you like, oh, okay, you can, if it helps, you can roll your shoulder back, and then you feel your chest is like, okay, like now kind of leading, like it's really showing you. And in the African dance world, like this is called the sun. Yeah, the sun. So how would you like to shine your sun around the room?
I love that. On my side, shifting from the feet to the hips and up to the chest, I go from kind of my head and my vision is looking down. I mean, I could have my chin up, but internally it's the focus is down. And then as it comes up, now that we're at the chest or the sun, it's my vision and my outlook is kind of towards the clouds. So for me, that's my personal like presence of shifting that focus.
Yes, yeah. It feels there's more openness as well here, kind of like from like from the ground up, what we did just now, kind of like, okay, we need to have our feet on the ground, like being being practical, being realistic, you know,
Yeah.
our survival is there.
Yeah,
But then like as we move up, it's also, oh, what are the possibilities here?
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So one last thing, and that is something we are, I think, quite familiar already. Yeah. But I'll put a twist on it. So now like just take another round around your room with your nose leading. Kind of like, okay.
It's funny that you talk about the heart as being a curiosity, because for me with the nose, this is more curiosity for me with walking towards smells. I'm like, what is that? What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yes. Good that you're noticing, and yeah, just notice whatever shift it is.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps like in your thoughts, or perhaps in your emotions, or or like this reminds you of something, memory, old memory.
Yeah.
And kind of that's also a little bit of how we are kind of relating with our here and now, actually, what we just did. So if you're still wandering around your room, you know, like just gently find your way back to you can still stay standing, you can still stay connected with your breathing, with your body, with your posture. I'm going to invite you also to to connect this, you know, like, because we are now kind of in the realm of the body, but I'm quite sure like you're feeling a lot of feelings. You know, like I use the word feelings and emotions like now quite interchangeably, but there is a difference there. So feelings like can be also what you feel in your body, or what you feel like when when you move in a certain way. These are kind of different way of being present, perhaps, like like when you move with a certain body part leading. But also, as I was asking you like during the exercise, like, okay, what are kind of perhaps thoughts that come up, or perhaps like certain emotions, certain memories. Perhaps like, oh, like what Engin mentioned, oh, like, I'm not so used to move with my hips. Okay, like you can also dive deeper there. All right, what are really the emotions, and it's perhaps confusing, or oh, it makes me feel a bit scared, but okay, it seems from the look of it, you're able to regulate them as well.
A lot of times also when we harbor stress inside the body, we harbor in two places. The biggest place is in our hips, and then the second biggest place is in our shoulders, like back, like the top part of our back.
Yes.
So the reason why the stress gets blocked in those areas is because in the hips, if you believe in like the flow of energy and like chakras and all the other stuff, when we're sitting down, where our legs are bent and we're not allowing things to flow through. So this is where they get bent. So kind of like clogged up. So a lot of times people will say, if you're stressed, go for a walk. The best thing for a short temper is a long walk. The best thing for a bad day is some sunshine. Everything's about balance, right? So a lot of times when we get stressed, what do? We stay sedentary. We turn on the TV, we go and sit down somewhere, we cower into our own space and feel that we need to protect ourselves. So instinctively, this is what we do. And this is where the challenge comes in, because if we do that, we're going to stay in that space. Once we make that decision, have that consciousness, and then make that decision to start moving around, we know, number one, as Irene was mentioning, on how we're always safe when we're in body, but then also we're creating a space to set ourselves up for success, because now we're giving ourselves the ability to move all of those emotions through our body, whether it be stress or whether it be anxiety, whether it be, old past memories. I try to stay away from labels because I think labels keep us stuck, but it's about flow. For me, I can experience 100 different emotions in about 15 seconds. So just keeping that flow going through.
Yes.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and emotions are also something very much in the body. Kind of, it's
Mhm.
in actuality, biologically, it's chemical reactions that's happening in the body. So to allow the body to come back to the balance again, the key is also movement.
Mhm.
Yeah, but also that we feel like, okay, there's this again like safety,
Mhm.
that there
And
is space to come back to the balance.
if you guys have water, I would definitely also suggest have a couple sips of water, because as we're moving around and as we're doing all of these different exercises, it's important to also support the body with all of these different things, because it's normal to do an exercise, be asked questions that maybe you weren't asked before. And then as these emotions are cropping up, we want to support those emotions internally. And we do this by, focusing on our breath, but also by having water to allow everything to kind of flow through. So if you have a chance, a couple of sips of water, if you can, will be very helpful to you.
Yes, really handy tips. Yes. And like as we are now like in the kind of in the area of emotion, and the last question that I have is actually about like, about the safety. Do I have safe space to process my experience? And this is something that I would love to invite you next. We did the embodiment just now, but actually to share in in a safe space that we co-create in our breakout rooms. Yeah, so I will.
And just so you know, the breakout rooms are 100% confidential. We cannot record in the breakout rooms, so please feel safe and a space where you can share anything, and it's 100% confidential in there.
Yes, yeah. So I think, Jess, I will need your help because I'm not sure if I have access to create breakout rooms. But yeah, you will be paired up. I don't know, depending on the number of people that,
We'll
I
do
think
two. We'll do
we are,
two breakout
two,
rooms
yeah.
and then assign automatically. Yeah. All right.
All right.
We're gonna go
Okay.
ahead and we'll hit the breakout rooms, and we'll see you guys in just a few minutes. So 3, 2, 1, breakout.
Here we go. Okay. I'm
That
just
was
checking
amazing.
out like, oh yeah,
I was
the
like, yay, we
transporter.
did breakout rooms. That was amazing.
Yay. Yes. Like this transporter feeling. Okay, so the other breakout room. Now everyone is back here. Wonderful, wonderful.
Irene, I have to share with you, our breakout room was phenomenal. It was amazing. May I share with you what we experienced over there?
Yes,
And
yes,
then anybody that was in our
of
room, they can
course.
definitely go into more details. But
Yeah.
oversimplification, what happened was we were talking about the difference of emotions versus feelings, and emotions oversimplified are going to be in the head, and it's the value that we attach with it, whereas the feeling is going to be the sensations within the body. So in that context and in that framing and in that kind of like definitions, we started with a body scan and checking in, how's our head feeling, how's our neck feeling, how are our shoulders feeling, how is our chest feeling, how's our back feeling, and we went all the way down to the toes, and then we went all the way back up, and then we kind of shared what was happening and how we were feeling, not in context of angry, sad, anxious, nothing like this, but in context of tight, lethargic, like something like more descriptive words for the actual like sensation. And we were able to identify the art of the power of slowing down, because sometimes slow is fast, the power of when we stay in one spot, we can get very detailed, and maybe like volcanoes, if we're just going through, we might miss it and it might be in a little bit of tightness, but then as we stay there and we see it, then it's little volcanoes erupting, as an example. And then we also briefly talked about the art of meditation and on how everything is a journey, and then getting from starting somewhere is just magical with excitement, because we're like, oh, now we have something to work towards. So that was oversimplification of what we did in our room. And of course, anybody in our breakout room, if you'd like to share more, you're obviously welcome to do so.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thanks for sharing the yeah, it sounds like a like a really powerful experience together there. Now I'm checking if Claudia would like to share. I saw that when you had to leave, so she was in my breakout rooms, and yeah, we actually went through So Claudia, please add later, like if you want to share also. Now we went through actually of the different experience, like with the movement, like with the feet, the hips, and the chest leading and the nose leading, and kind of what kind of emotions or what kind of what kind of feelings it actually evokes, and kind of just the subtle shifts, like like a kind of, it's probably the same movement, just walking, but yeah, because like there's more embodiment, there's also more awareness. Oh, like if I with my nose leading, okay, what kind of feeling it is, and with the hips, and then that is actually the container, like that we can explore more deeply, because like what I shared in the breakout rooms from the from this chakra system, like the hips are kind of, it's close to, I don't remember the name of the chakra, but it is something connected with pleasure.
The root chakra.
The root chakra, and the guilt-free pleasure also, and that's also kind of kind of an area of exploration, especially like when we're when we feel that, okay, like I shared about my experience of not allowing myself that pleasure, kind of like, oh, if I'm having fun, giving myself a good time, that then I'm not productive, so stop it. So that was kind of my exploration as well, like the hips.
Absolutely. So a lot of times I would like to add on to that, because I think if in context of the chakras, right, a lot of people, when they get stuck at their root chakra, it's a misconception of what is pleasure, because a lot of it is actually avoidance. So when we slow it down and we get into that present moment, we realize that we don't need to run away from something. So within our room, as an example, we were talking about the importance of, always like being on the go, going, doing this, doing that, and then being able to kind of, slow it down a little bit, slow as fast, right? When we're going too fast, or when we have an aversion to embracing the emotions, or we don't have the tools to understand the feelings, we want instant gratification. So this is where addictions come in. This is where counterproductive or destructive behaviors come in, because we don't have the tools to honor what is cropping up or to understand it. And we get scared. As a fundamental concept, we get scared of it. And then we try to cover it up with something that brings us short-term pleasure. And from that, I just want to highlight, because I think where you're coming from is already from that elevated state of having that, that presence and understanding worth, and understanding that we are worthy of things that are good for us. Without the discernment, we can get ourselves into some cloudy waters with, does this feel good that's actually good for us? Or does this feel good because we're avoiding something that we don't want to deal with? So I think that is a very important discernment, especially if we're talking about in context of like chakras, maybe a little bit deep. I don't know, but hopefully I simplified for that.
Yeah. No, that's a very valid point, Jess. Yeah, kind of with this instant gratification, that can be like in a sense escapism behavior.
I suffer from it all the time, because for me, I'm like, ooh, feels. I was like, I don't know about this. Like, what else can I do? Oh, wait, let's organize a 28 session mental health extravaganza. Like, that's what I do. So being busy is an addiction.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, being busy. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm aware of the time, so we're actually at this wrapping up phase. Okay, I'm checking. Like, okay, just I think we shared quite a lot already. Like, what was the learning for us in this session, and this is again my offer or my invitation. Yeah, so knowing now, like, okay, experiencing this and hearing also like from your peers, okay, what daily action are you willing to do, to practice presence? So this may be like a kind of a living homework. Yeah, you don't need to report to us, like make a make kind of an exam paper, but be welcome, like if you want to share.
For me, I'm going to make sure that I get back to my breath. So 5 different times throughout the day, I'm going to make a strong determination to take 5 breaths.
Okay.
And so it could be
Yeah.
right when I wake up. I mean, it's just as long as I do it 5 times throughout the day, that's my
Yeah.
accomplishment.
Yes.
5
And
deep breaths 5 times a day.
okay, wonderful. That's also very very tangible. You can count it, and it's manageable. Like okay, five breaths. I think we can do that. And that's a nice example, Jessica. And that's also the invitation. To kind of just do something like if you don't have to go like for 1 hour practice, but if you can do it like 1 minute, that's already top. All right. I see some smile. Yes. Okay. So yeah, with that, I want to actually ask you, like, okay, would you be willing to engage and explore, like a connection next week, same time, same place, and that's kind of a continuation, because like when we are already cultivating our presence, I think like as a human being, like that's also okay. Like what is like after presence, what are we exploring next? So I'm going to tickle you about this connection, and connection is very broad. It can be connection with others, but I think the most important connection is also to ourselves, and that's what you're already building up with the just being presence.
Absolutely. And just to kind of put everything into context, we have a 4-part series for self-compassion. Today, we just identified the tip of the iceberg, and we plan on doing a deep dive throughout all of these 4 sessions. And so we're basically giving you guys so many different tools to kind of do your internal, I guess, audit, and to find out what works for you. So today we focused on presence and all different aspects of presence, primarily with increasing awareness of if we are present. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. And then now for next week, since we have a context of what is presence and how to get back into presence, because everything is always moving, then we're going to focus next week on connection and how do we connect with ourselves at a little bit of a deeper level. What is the difference between having attachments to external things and being connected to self? What are it's not necessarily pros and cons, but what are the opportunities and what are the risks for not having awareness to what exactly we're connected to? Again, nothing is good or bad. It's just having an awareness that'll help us kind of navigate through life just a little bit easier.
Yes.
Just to kind of further edify and promote everything that Irene just said. And I would also like to add that we do have in the comments one of the I guess the homework assignments is going to be exploring the hip, nose, chest walking daily. So being able to have that consciousness of, okay, what are our hips doing when we're leading? What is our nose doing when we're leading? And then what is our chest from the different parts, which I think is incredible. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really kind of wonderful, Claudia, that you will explore that further. And I'm curious to hear, like to hear more. Oh, okay. Questions, themes for week 3 and 4. So for week 3, we have in our planning, what is it again? Playfulness. Playfulness, yeah. And week 4 is about self-kindness. Yeah, so if you see all these kind of smaller themes, they all connect together, like they're kind of our practice, daily practice that we can do to cultivate our self-compassion. So yeah, sounds good to Amelia. Cool.
Absolutely. I would just like to also honor the fact that showing up is a wonderful first step for self-compassion. So the fact that everybody here has made a conscious decision to show up, whatever the motivation was, it's amazing. And I would just like to honor that decision, because everything that we do is a decision. And so showing up today is just one small step towards self-mastery and finding some new tools that may or may not work, but the intention is to do that deep dive,
explore. Use what you can, what you feel is useful, and leave out what you don't feel is helping you or serving you at this moment.
Absolutely.
Okay, so How about we wrap up, Jess?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is again an invitation. Like, all right, in one word or sentence, how would you express your experience in this session?
I know that tomorrow next week's session is talking about connectedness, or like being connected, but that's actually the word that is in my heart right now, because I feel, number one, very connected to myself, and I feel very connected to other people that are also on their journey. So I think this has been a very productive space. So I think connectedness, because community is like a big thing in my world right now.
Okay, wonderful. Yes. Anyone else would like to share? It is okay to pass if you don't want, or you can share in the chat. Okay, glad I came. Yes, me too. Me too, Emilia.
Another path to self-awareness. I can define it maybe.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Up to self-awareness.
Being
Wonderful.
in tune, you know.
Being in tune. Okay. And I feel like like, okay, what is it like? Yeah, I feel like let's rock and roll.
Energized.
Energized. Yes. Okay.
That, I'm sorry, that might be coming from me, because I've been trying so hard to manage my energy over here, but it's so hard sometimes.
Yes, you're not alone. Yeah, I think that's a kind of a big theme for us, energy, how to manage it, and that we don't kind of get too busy and then crash, but kind of to regulate it in a nice flow.
Yeah.
All right. This is the end of the train for today. Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your practice, for indeed like showing up here and joining us on this journey, like throughout this mental health awareness month.
Bookmark the link, because we'll be using the same link throughout all 4 sessions. Feel free to invite anybody who is also on their own individual journey. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, and more importantly, your presence, pun intended.
Thanks a lot, Jessica. Thanks a lot, Irene.
Thank you, Engin. Thanks, Dan and Claudia, Jessica.
Hashtag stronger together, and happy start to International Mental Health Awareness Month. If we don't proactively manage our health today, we are going to be forced to make time for an illness later. So taking a step today, even if it feels like a small step, just by showing up and learning some new tools, is an incredible way to honor our spirit and honor our bodies. So thank you guys for prioritizing your health. I think it's incredible.